Hey, Gaddies, we are excited to continue our conversation today talking about being a queer parent in sports. And I'm so excited to introduce Ron Hoppe-Hastings. Hey, Ron.
Nice.
Ron is a college volleyball coach coming from Illinois. Ron, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your family and your experience coaching in athletics.
Yeah, hi, my name is Ron, and I use he, they pronouns. I live in central Illinois, and I coach volleyball at a junior college here in town with my husband. And then we also own a volleyball club. And then my husband and I have 9-year-old twin daughters. Stay busy.
Hey, that sounds busy indeed. Okay, let's start there with your kids actually, right? So you're in central Illinois. What has it been like? You said your kids play a couple sports. What has it been like stepping into a sports environment as a queer family? Are there other ones around? What does that look like?
Yeah, central Illinois we're in the same town as the University of Illinois, so it's pretty blue, but like as soon as you leave that area, it's not. And right until you get to Chicago or down by St. Louis or closer to Indianapolis, things like that. So, there are queer families, there are queer families with children, but we live in a smaller town actually outside of the major or the main town. So my knowledge, we are one of very few queer families with children in that area.
And what is it like showing up to sporting events or sort of being on the sideline with your kids?
Yeah, I think, we're a little bit fortunate because coaching volleyball in a smaller town and running a club in a smaller town, like we are known by a lot of people. So I think we have that to our benefit. So, when we show up to a lot of places, especially volleyball spaces, people know us just because we've been around that sport for so long. But our girls wanted to try softball this year and they've been really big into basketball. So kind of going into those spaces, I think again we're kind of known just as the volleyball guys, but people I think respect us just because of the success we've had with the college volleyball and running the club program. And then not to pat myself or my husband on the back, but I think we've done a pretty good job raising our
Please do,
kids,
pat
and
away.
I think they're good kids, and I think they're kids that people like to be around. So I think we've
Mm,
been pretty fortunate.
yeah.
Have really worked to make sure that we speak up if we are in a situation where we feel like there could be some change, and are hesitant to do that.
Yeah. Well, maybe let's stay there. Tell us a little bit about
Yeah, so I think, for my husband and I, a lot of our coaching, especially so we're coaching at a junior college. So we're getting great athletes, but we're not getting D1 kids, right? We're not getting kids who are gonna play pro volleyball in the future. So our focus with the program at the junior college has always been, we're gonna make you better at this sport, but we're also gonna make you better humans because you're gonna be here for 2 years and then you're gonna transfer to a 4-year school and you might play volleyball and you might not, but you're
yeah.
definitely gonna be a person and you're definitely gonna interact with other people. So we're gonna give you experiences and challenge your thought process so that when you leave here, you're not just better at volleyball, but you're a better human. And we've incorporated that into our club as well. And I think our big rule for club is we have this acknowledgement rule. So when we're talking, you're making eye contact with us. At the end of every conversation, there is a thumbs up, there is a nod, there is a thank you, there is some kind of acknowledgement to understand that you heard what we said, you understand the feedback we're giving you. So there's been situations where, our girls now are in sports and we hear the coach say something and then we hear like they're talking to the team and then everybody runs away except for our children who are like, thanks, coach. And then they run away. And so we've had situations where we've had to like encourage our girls to say, hey, that's important for you to do, even if no one else is doing it. Right? We want you to continue doing that, even if it's not an expectation from the coach, it's our expectation of you. Um, we've also had situations where there's been so much focus on winning. And for us, like at 9 and 10 now, like that's not important. That's not the end of the world. We're here, we're young, we're trying to learn the sport, trying to have a ton of fun while we're doing it. We want you to ask a lot of questions. We don't care if you win or lose. So I think in situations where we have other parents who are yelling at coaches and yelling at refs and things like that, we just like move away from them so we can have our own little conversation. And then sometimes that does spark talk with our girls. And they'll say, hey, why did so and so's mom or dad say this today? Or why did they yell that? And so we kind of talk through that and say, well, I think they were unhappy. The ref might have made a bad call, but At the end of the day, did you have fun? Awesome. Like, let's go back and do it.
Yeah. So when your kids maybe are on teams, right, where their family is looking a little bit different than ever, like what are the kind of conversations you're having with them? And does that differ specifically as it relates to sports versus other conversations you're having them without about your family structure?
Yeah, for us, probably not, just because like our everyday life and our sport life is so intertwined with our coaching and then their athletics. So, I think we've been honest with them from an early age that like our family structure is different than everybody else's. Like some people have two dads, some people have two moms, some people have a mom and dad, some have one dad, like it's different everywhere. So I don't think we've been fortunate that we haven't had a lot of situations. I do have a story like this past year, my husband was like assistant coaching on their softball team, and one of the other coaches wasn't available. So they asked me if I could help out at practice. This was probably, I don't know, the fifth or sixth practice. So the kids had seen me before. They obviously saw my husband. And so I'm there, I'm helping, and a little girl goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm Sydney and Alex's dad." And he said, "I thought that guy was Sydney and Alex's dad." And I said, "Oh, yeah, we're both their dads." And she goes, "Oh." And I said, "Oh, well, that's a conversation maybe for your parents to talk about like how two dads can have a family, but two dads
Yeah.
can totally have a family." And then I just kind of moved on. But it was just like that's learned behavior. The fact that you said ew and like it wasn't even like it was like a oh, okay, like tell me more about that. It was like, ew, I've been told that this is wrong. Like, so I just said, talk to your parents if you want to learn more. This is like I'm not gonna get into this. Obviously you've already heard things and like your parents already have a preference, but they can talk to you more about it if you want. So that's
Yeah.
probably the big thing. And our girls luckily weren't around and didn't hear it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, how do you think about, in like a very heteronormative world, both in your coaching and both with your kiddos' sports, like feeling visible and seen and balancing everything?
Yeah. Well, I think, my husband and I are pretty confident people, I think. And I think that benefits us because we try not to let stuff like that bother us. And we try to, you know, we very much are of the idea that the more we can be out there and be visible and show people that we're just like normal people, like a normal family, I think the more than people are willing to accept that. So we work pretty hard to just kind of keep things casual, normal. Again, we're no different than you, just our
Yeah.
structure's a little bit different. It looks a little bit different.
Yeah. So maybe what would you say to other dads whose kids haven't yet started sports or are starting sports around ways they might feel comfortable showing up and being themselves in that environment?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a little bit just, I mean, feel it out, right? Like I would always just whether it's queer, whether it's not queer, my red flag is teams that focus solely on winning. Like if the focus is, we're here to win a national championship or here to win the whatever, like that's great if that's a goal, but that shouldn't be the only focus. There should be focus on fun. There should be focus on learning. It's looking to see how the coach interacts with the players, but how the players interact with the kid as well. Is there a mutual respect and back and forth? And if so, then that's probably something that's going to benefit queer families. Because I think just in general, that's something that we do well, just because we have to, because not a lot of we don't always get it back, right? So we
Okay.
have to give it more often than not. So I think those are things to look out for. I think if you start to see some of those things where again you're seeing that coach player relationship where there's lots of communication, lots of good eye contact, lots of questions being asked, I think that's a green flag. Whereas if you start to see like, you're just a number to us, you're just those are the things that I mean, I don't know, unless you're 6'8" and gonna go D1, and then pro after, that's probably not a situation that you want to be a part of.
Yeah, I think those are some great insights to look out for. You started talking about them, but maybe what are some green flags that parents could look for to figure out, yeah, this is the right place for us?
Yeah. So again, I think I think I try not to coach coaches, but as a coach, like it happens. I like coaches again that are having conversations. I like coaches that are meeting with teams after games to kind of debrief and kind of talk through things. I like coaches that make good eye contact with players, that aren't afraid to like get on their level, whether that's like on it taking a knee or bending over, like whatever, just like relating to that person as another human. Those are things that I like. I like when husband and I are, sitting or standing and someone comes over, like another parent, and says, "Hey, like I'm so and so's mom or dad." Like that always really feels good to us as well, just to kind of include us. We ask as well. My husband is like a master small talker, which is his magic trick. I have gotten better at it just through knowing him and loving him, but it takes a lot of work for me to talk to somebody I don't know. But I've gotten better at that, and he's very good at that. So I think asking questions and again, and see how people um, answer our questions, talk about the coach, talk about the program, things they like, things they didn't like. I think if people are willing to be honest with you, you should listen to that. And a lot of times you can get a good feel just by asking questions.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job of talking to someone that you don't know today. So I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. And maybe let's go back to that comment of, coaching coaches. I would say,
Yeah.
what is something that you would share with coaches who maybe are having their first LGBT family on the team or haven't yet? Like, what's one small change or one thing they can think about to make a big impact to be as inclusive as possible?
Yeah. I think just like introducing yourself at the end of the day, like, you do that with you should do that with all the parents, and there's no reason not to include a queer family, but just truly like introducing yourself, asking questions, that shows an interest, and then just a willingness to learn, I think is important as well, right? Because like again, most people live their heteronormative lives and don't ever think about like the queer family and the structure and what it's like and how it works. And you don't, and it's not like which is the mom and which is the dad kind of question, but like, hey, like, what's your background in sports? Where do you come from? Where do your kids like? Just things like that, like trying to get to know them, asking those kinds of questions. I think that that's really good, and I think again, just you don't need to treat them any differently. The athletes or the parents, like they're just there for the same reason that everyone else is there, for community, for fun. To get better at a sport, that hopefully fall in love with something that like, they already love or they don't love yet. So I think just kind of, like I said, in being inclusive is as inclusive as possible.
Yeah. Well, I think right now you hear a lot about parent behavior in youth sports, and most of it is not great. As a parent and as a coach, how do you navigate that?
It's such a tricky question because it's almost like because these people are paying so much money for club and all these outside sports, like they feel like they're entitled to yelling at coaches and expectations and opinions and things like that. We as coaches of a club, I mean, we have a very strict like you don't talk to the coach at tournaments, you don't talk to the coach without the athlete present. Like just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean the athlete feels a certain way. So anytime we're having those like playing time conversations, we always make the athlete have those with us. And like parents can be there, but it's not me and mom or dad having the conversation. It's me and the athlete. And if the athlete like is turning to mom or dad, I'm like, no, this is not what they feel. It's what do you feel? They say you're unhappy that you're not getting playing time. Are you unhappy that you're not getting playing time? Okay, great. Let's talk about that. What can we do so that maybe you can get some more playing time? So I think focusing again more on athlete and trying to understand what they want, not what mom and dad or dad or mom and mom want, right? Like focusing on what they want so that at the end of the day, you're as a coach, you're on the same page as an athlete and you can work together once you know their goals. Because again, you're not coaching parent, you're not coaching them, you're not getting them trying to get them a college scholarship. It's the athlete that you're working with. You're trying to get them to have fun, learn the sport, and those things.
Yeah. Well, Coach Ron, thank you for sharing your insights. Best of luck on the coaching season and with your kiddos and starting the year.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.